Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. Today in this one we're going to be taking a look at Adventure Virtual World once again. I've been playing this deck a little bit on ladder in my quest to just mix it up this season when it comes to actually like ranking up. I've talked about taking my time in the past and then I've still not done it. I've always just been like kind of a try-hard in reaching Diamond 1, but like I think because last season I spent literally like the whole not even month, but like 3 weeks that the new pack was out during season 7, just playing so many different decks. I'm just kind of like keeping up the trend, I guess. I mean, I've got my favorites like Adventure Tenny, of course, and Tri-Brigade Zodiac we saw as well. But I just really like playing all the different adventure decks. I think they're all kind of neat in their own right. And Adventure Virtual World is one that I wanted to come back to some point during the last season, but just didn't have time to. So I figured, yeah, we'll play with it a little bit in the the start of the 8th season, season 8 here, and I'm really glad I did because I actually hit a 10-game win streak while just getting games for like this video, and I wish I would have taken like a screen cap. I don't think, hang on, it actually might still be visible here if we go to duel, but I was playing like adventure pranks afterward, which will probably be the next video that goes out, so I don't think it's still in the match. Oh no, here it is. Okay, wait, is this it? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Yeah, okay, so yeah, there's the win streak right there. So good, I do have some amount of proof that I had it there. But yep, so that was win streak I caught there with Adventure Virtual World here. Yeah, the deck is super solid. Virtual World in general is just a really solid deck. And then obviously if you throw in the Adventure Engine, which really more than just providing the Omni Negate is useful for baiting the Ash, or just baiting the outs that your opponent has in general, because Virtual World is it's a good deck, but it's also very susceptible. It's not even, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase it, because it's not necessarily very susceptible to disruption in general, right? Because when we look at effects like Effect Veiler and Infinite Permanence, those actually don't really hurt this deck at all, honestly. This deck has no real main deck monsters aside from like, Gryphon, of course, but none of the virtual main deck monsters like activate on board, so you don't have to really worry about those. But, a Maxx will really wreck this deck. This deck, even to make it the most minimal plays, will give your opponent like 4 draws. Ash can really wreck this deck, if you can't get the Kauwloon, use the Kauwloon to get like a Xiezhi out, or even if you get like a Qinglong down and then try to activate Lulu and then that gets ashed. So just, yeah, having the Adventure Engine really did help this deck again tremendously. And is definitely the main reason why Virtual World is still relevant after all this time. Again, I just did not do my proper research beforehand when I was like, oh, I really hope Virtual World is still good after Adventures come out. Yeah, no, definitely the deck is still very good. And actually, and I've touched upon this as well before, but, even the research I did was of the OCG meta around this time, which did not have good old VFD, True King of all calamities here. So that is definitely a plus here at Master Duel for the deck. Build itself has not changed at all, actually, since Season 7. I did go over it again. I did a little bit of testing, of course, and I went over to Master Duel Meta and looked at, the deck breakdown and some various lists, and I just really like this list where it's at, this 42-card list here. This feels like, you could maybe cut down on, like, Ashes and or Seas if you wanted to, or, like, cut like a Nibiru. Well, I mean, at that point, you might as well cut the Crossout Designators first. But, like, yeah, there are some like, slight adjustments or cuts you can make to this. But otherwise, I feel this is a really solid, like, core list of, it's just in that it's like, we're not doing anything too fancy. We're just playing the bare bone basics, and that is making for a consistent and, in turn, powerful deck. So, yeah, as always, let's go ahead and go through the deck list here before we take a look at some gameplay. We are playing 3 Maxx, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 Virtual Hime Nyannyan, 3 Virtual Mai-Hime Lulu, 3 Virtual Z, oh my god, it's been a little while actually, Virtual Xiezhi Jiji, right? I'm pretty sure, Xiezhi Jiji? Yeah. Wow. 2 Water Enchantress of the Temple, 2 Virtual World Roshi Laolao, 2 Virtual Kirin Lili, sorry, 3 Virtual Kirin Lili, 1 Wandering Gryphon Rider, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Foolish Burial, 3 Virtual City Kauwloon, 2 Rite of Aramesir, 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, 2 Virtual Gate Qinglong, 1 Fateful Adventure, 2 Emergency Teleport, 2 Called by the Grave, 2 Crossout Designator, 2 Virtual Gate Xiezhi, and then 1 Virtual Gate Shanwu. Down here in the extra deck, we've got Stardust Charge Warrior, Coral Dragon, Virtual Beast. I think this is... Oh, someone left a comment, actually, a very, very helpful comment that said exactly how to pronounce this. And of course, I completely forgot it. It's on the last video. I'm just not even going to try. But thank you to that person who left that comment. Your efforts were not wasted. Well, they were, but it's just because of my faulty memory. It's not because of you, of any reason. But the level 6 Virtual World Synchro. We'll just call it that. 1 Cloud Castle, 1 Vermilion Dragon Mech, 1 Ravenous Crocodragon Arceus, 1 Virtual QB Shenshen, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Qinglong, 1 Constellar Ptolemy M7, 1 number 39 Utopia Beyond, 1 Virtual Phoenix Fan, 1 Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger, 1 True King of All Calamities, and then finally 1 Divine Arsenal Zeus Sky Thunder. Okay, so that is the list there. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some games. Alright, game 1 here is going to be against a mirror. It's actually almost an exact mirror, but they have cut one of each C and Ash for 2 imperms, which is an interesting cut. Interesting adjustments. I can see myself making that. I just C and Ash, though. They're so good. It's really hard to move away from them, personally. Looking at our hand here, we got a pretty solid hand. I'm, of course, going to lead with the Water Enchantress for the Rite of Aramesir here. Don't have a way to get to a virtual gate, but we don't necessarily need one in order to combo off. But the opponent's going to respond with a Maxx, so comboing off may or may not happen this turn. I'm actually going to respond with the E-Telly in response to the Maxx because I can still get a decent board out. Given the fact that my opponent is Maxx'd, again, with Virtual World, like I touched on the deck profile, there's only a minimal amount of plays you can really make while giving your opponent, only so many draws. But, yeah, here I'm going to summon the Nyannyan to get the Dracoback and then go for the Gryphon Rider. I actually don't end up using this Lulu this turn, so I really shouldn't have used the E-Telly. Yeah, I thought I'd move straight to the end phase after that, because, again, I just don't end up using it for anything. So that was a waste. Definitely, again, should not have used E-Telly there, because I was thinking about maybe going into like just a Shenshen, right? But I was like, even that's gonna give my opponent like 2 more draws, I think, right? It would have been 3 and then summon. I don't know, actually. Well, yeah, I could have summoned Coral Dragon and then so like I would have given my opponent at least 2 more draws to make a Shenshen. So I just decided it wasn't really worth it. So yeah, we see opponents doing their own stuff here. I'm going to wait and Ash the effect to obviously search the Gryphon Rider. Because my opponent normal summoned a Lulu, I'm pretty confident they actually don't really have plays in their hand. Because if they had plays, you wouldn't normal summon a Lulu. If they had like any other virtual monster, right, what you would do is you would summon a virtual monster and then use Lulu's effect on that virtual monster, and then you could start making plays. Because like, one misconception I had when I started playing this deck about Virtual World is that, oh, you have to have a gate in order to start your plays, because then otherwise you can't interact with monsters and you can't do anything. But Lulu, even if you got a monster on board, is still capable of searching up a Kauwloon, which can get you a gate, and also is still capable of setting up the graveyard with, actually in the same search even, with the like Shanwu or the Xiezhi, depending on whether you need the revival or the level adjustment effect more. So yeah, definitely don't underestimate the power of Lulu, even if you've only got another virtual monster. But again, because my opponent just normal summoned Lulu, that's what tipped me off to think. That's why I ashed the Fateful Adventure there and didn't save it for a virtual world monster. Because if your opponent's gonna special one, it's gonna be Lulu. So a normal Lulu is a pretty dead giveaway that I don't think they have too much more action in their hand right now. Plus also, we saw their oh, no, sorry, I went first. I was going to say their first turn, but no, I actually took the first turn here. So we just casually ripped Kauwloon off the top of our deck because we're the luckiest player in the world. And Xiezhi plus Jiji is going to be enough to get us some amount of action here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sink for 6 to go into the Stardust Charge Warrior, so that way I can use that Virtual World Qinglong that I just sent to the graveyard with Jiji there. And then, of course, I get to shuffle back a Lulu as well with Nyannyan's effect. And that's not super relevant, but, definitely doesn't hurt either. And we actually end up ripping the Lulu off the top because, again, we're just the luckiest player in the world. So we didn't even need to use the Qinglong's effect, but we would have had access to the Qinglong effect if we needed it. So just feels better. I guess, I don't know, I feel better thinking that. Yeah, here we are then able to search the Laolao, and I'm actually going to go for game right here and right now. I'm going to do so with number 39 Utopia Beyond to drop my opponent's monster's attack points. Then I'm going to go ahead and sync up. I actually think I misplayed slightly here. I think I could have made like different monsters, like with the, instead of the Utopia Beyond, I think if I had made some like a Vermilion Dragonback, like if I made some level 9s, I think I could have found lethal in a less roundabout way than what I'm about to do here. I mean, it's not too roundabout. We're just going to use the Water Enchantress to get the right to get the token and then move into battle phase. So, you know, again, not too roundabout, but not too difficult to find lethal either. This is actually one of the first times I've actually summoned number 39 Utopia Beyond, period, in Virtual World. So I want to showcase this game as a good case study of, like, a case study. Well, yeah, case study of where Utopia Beyond can be useful for just finding lethal out of nowhere like that. Again, I think I could have done so by making a couple of level 9 synchros, maybe, but I don't know. It's Virtual World. You can. That's another cool thing about Virtual World is that you can just kind of like fall into your plays, and it just feels like it all just kind of falls into place. But that could just be my haphazard style of playing the deck. But anyway, let's go and go on to the next game. Alright, so this game is going to be against Sword Soul Tenny, which I am a little surprised I haven't seen more of on the ladder. Not that I thought it was going to be like a super popular deck. I did figure that the adventure decks were probably still going to be at least a little bit more popular than it, but I also kind of figured that Sword Soul Tenny was going to crop up, I don't know, more than it has. So we're going first with the ultimate second turn hand here, right? Opening C, Ash, and Nibiru is not really something I'll ever complain about, but on first turn with no other action isn't always the greatest. So I did get the Fateful Adventure, but without anything else that I want to discard, I'm just going to kind of have to like use it to search the Enchantress and then use the right. Maybe I shouldn't rather have even activated Rite of Aramesir here, because the token doesn't really, I mean, I guess it is still better to get it in defense mode so you know, don't die, so you don't leave yourself too wide open to getting OTK'd. Opponent's going to lead with their own Fateful Adventure and then respond with the Ecclesia effect, but if they were trying to chain block, I don't think they did it in the right order. I don't know if you can even chain block that way, but in any case, I'm going to Ash the effect here. Opponent's going to respond by specialing the Gryphon Rider. That's totally fine. I'm going to use Maxx in response in order to make sure that I can get draws, because even if my opponent stops here, oh, that's right. Yeah, no, here I actually flipped the Crossout Designator, which I definitely shouldn't have done given that I just responded with the Maxx, but it was kind of like a change of heart mid-chain, right? Because at first I was like, oh, Gryphon Rider's coming down. I thought about crossing it out, but then I was like, yeah, I'll just Maxx. But then I realized, like, no, if I don't cross out the Gryphon Rider here, then it's just going to be live with the token later. And I think I'd rather, because I did feel a bit of sunken cost fallacy there since I'd already activated Maxx, but I was like, you know what? It's still the optimal play to negate it, period. So even if I have to like take an L, a bit of an L on this Maxx and I don't get any draws off of it, I think that's ultimately going to be fine. But that's not even going to be the case, honestly. Opponent is still going to definitely give me draws as they are using the Emergence for the Long Yuan here. And they're activating their Rite of Aramesir to presumably set up their, well, no, they can't set up their Gryphon Rider, so maybe they just see a normal monster on board for some like Tenny effects or something. They're just go the Ashen in the graveyard. Oh, that's right, but here actually my opponent ends up not going for Baron, which I think would have won them the game, honestly. They go for Qinglong instead. Obviously not that, you know, they could have known that I had Nibiru in hand, but when you're under Maxx and you're going for it, you should be playing around Nibiru, so I don't know, if you were going to keep going there, you should go for Baron, and you should be going for lethal, because again, otherwise you just give me like way too much card advantage, which to be fair, I think the opponent was trying to go for lethal, but again, I can't iterate enough how important it is to Baron there for stuff like Nibiru, so that this exact scenario does not end up happening to you. So now we have far more than enough fuel in our hand to pretty easily answer our opponent's board here. They got a blackout, like I don't even, whatever, it's fine, I don't give a shit, I really don't. There's not really anything that's going to do to stop me, so I'll E-Telly out the Nyannyan here. Nyannyan is typically a pretty good E-Telly target if you don't already have access to it, because just getting it online in the graves to have the options for more, you know, tuners, for just monsters in general for plays later is definitely always good. So yeah, opponent's recognizing as soon as I activate the Lulu, I believe, on the Nyannyan here, that like, oh, Virtual World is just doing their thing, I wasn't able to stop them, so I'm just going to concede. So yeah, we definitely take those. Alright, let's go and take a look at the next game. Okay, this game is against Airman, who is playing a Sky Striker deck. Another deck I haven't seen in quite a while, although you tend to see that more often when you're laddering than just, you know, in like Diamond 1 anyways, so that would make sense why I haven't seen as much of it lately. But we're going first here. This hand's really mediocre, so I'm just going to set the Jiji and pass. Yeah, this is definitely definition of a not great hand, but we do at the very least have C and Nibiru, so I will never complain about opening the both those, because even if you have to just like pass pretty much back to your opponent in your, on turn 1. As long as you got C and Nibiru, it's like there's not a whole lot your opponent could have to play around both. I mean, it's not impossible. It's not even necessarily difficult depending on the deck, but whoops, sorry, bumped the cord for my microphone there. Yeah, so we did manage to get the Maxx C off against the token. That's good, because Maxx C can be a little bit difficult to get off against Sky Strikers if they've got Ray on board. Because if they normal summon Ray and you try to respond with Maxx C to that, they'll just use Ray's effect in response. So you kind of have to like wait for them to use Ray's effect normally. But again, in this scenario, they were able to provide us with a draw from the token there. So yeah, the yep, picking up the what do we draw there? Oh yeah, then the other Maxx C. I know that definitely didn't help there. So, gonna have to pass back. We do again. At the very least, I guess we do have another Maxx C. In addition to the Nibiru, we're gonna get draws. So, draws are definitely my main concern at this point. As like I said, my hand is pretty bricky at this point. Although this Kauwloon is already making things look promising. And yeah, obviously they can bounce by Xiezhi. I don't care about that. That's fine. Sending a Ray with the Hayate, so we do have to be mindful of Ray being in the graveyard now. Alright, and then pass back to us. Okay, so here's a Water Enchantress. That's definitely causing things to look up here. Opponent's going to have their Wandering Gryphon Rider, but that's fine because, the search is obviously still going to resolve because the effects of the summon have already resolved anyway, so definitely still gets the right there. I'm going to use Kauwloon to set up the Qinglong just to get a virtual gate set up, and then I can actually use that to banish the opponent's Gryphon Rider, so now, it's not going to be an issue whatsoever. From here, we can go for our own adventure / Gryphon Rider plays. Pitching that extra Qinglong that we don't need was really my goal this whole time, right? As soon as I saw the, what did we draw for turn? Was it, I think it was just straight up Water Enchantress. I don't think it was Foolish. Yeah, it was just straight up Water Enchantress. Yeah. As soon as I saw the Water Enchantress come down, I was like, okay, we can turn this around pretty easily. I don't foresee having too much trouble. I can get this Qinglong on board. And yeah, we'll just deal with any nuisances that way. Alright, so here we've got the QB Shen coming down, and then the Lulu to follow suit. Oh yeah, so this was definitely like a this was definitely a moment I was having where I was like, wow, I love this deck. I really love this deck. It's just, it can do so much. It's kind of ridiculous, honestly. Yeah, because here I thought I had screwed up and I was like, oh, I can't make VFD because I have QB, or I have Shen and 2 level 3 tuners, but I was like, no, I can just adjust down the Shen to 6, and then I can make a 9, and then I can go into the Shen, and actually, if I recall correctly here, I'm going to end up making enough 9s that I just go for, or I leave Shen on the board, maybe? Maybe that might have been a different game. Okay, now here is where I decided to sink for Baron de Fleur. Oh, no, yeah, that was a different game I was thinking of, because, yeah, here we're going to use the Baron to destroy the Gryphon, which will change its effect. I'm sure that makes, my opponent feel a lot better, but it is still going to be negated. And the card will still be destroyed by Baron's effect as a result. And, of course, now we're able to bring down the truest king of all those calamities himself. And after smacking with a token, now they're left at half life points. They do still have a pretty full hand, so even though we've got VFD plus an Omni Negate, that's definitely still a little bit scary, but yeah, no, definitely not anything that I would be super duper concerned about, except for this sphere mode. Oh, I actually legit forgot about this. Yeah, we got sphere moded. I've never had somebody actually drop this card on me in a duel before, but here we are. I did kind of think about a Kaiju. I was like, I was trying to figure out, like, just before I got sphere moded, I was like, okay, if I was gonna get Kaiju'd, and I was gonna lose one of my cards, which would be the one I'd not want to lose, but that didn't end up really mattering because we just end up losing everything anyway. But it's all good, and it legit is all good. I know I'm like, oh yeah, I just casually lost everything. It's all fine. It actually is all fine here because we managed to top deck a Laolao. Gotta love it when a plan comes together. Oh, but you have the ash. The ash to ash to ash. That is definitely not going to cause my play to come together. It doesn't matter, though. We can still bring back the Shen and, you know, have our... I guess have our cake and eat it too in that regard. Of course, that's another very, very strong strength of the deck is Shen's just perpetual omnipresence in no matter what board state. Okay, yeah, so here, that's right, that tribute summoned for Nibiru, because I wanted to get rid of my opponent's, well, technically mine, but I know I had to get rid of this Baron, and I just wanted to get it over with, so... Alright, let's see what we've got here. Yeah, opponent's only got one face down. The other two cards in their hand haven't really been live. They're playing a Rite of Aramesir. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess they top deck that because I just feel like otherwise I definitely would have noticed before, you know? But I don't even know if what I just said made sense. This is another one of those videos where I'm like really out of it. It's been a really bad habit of mine lately where it's like, you know, I've been fairly busy, so then I go to record my video at the end of the night after I've done everything else, and my brain is just so fried by that point. In more ways than one. No, I just get to this really loopy state where I find myself like, I don't know if anyone else has that moment where you find yourself just saying words and then you realize like, oh, it's not that I didn't filter the words, it's that I didn't even really check them before they came out of my mouth. So I don't know if what I was saying was actually congruent with the words that came from before it, but in any case, yeah, no, opponent's got a DPE out on board now, but we're able to pick up a Fateful Adventure, or a Rite of Aramesir rather, off the Fateful Adventure by sending the, you know, the Water Enchantress. I'm basically just trying to bait out my opponent's DP at this point, seeing if they would do it at any point in response to the Fateful Adventure. They actually end up leaving the Virtual World Shen alone until this point, which is definitely fine with me. We can use the Lili to probe. I don't want to use the Laolao because I am going to end up using the Laolao's effect, but what we can do now is we can use Qinglong to send this Lili that we can't use anymore, and then now we can do normal summon Lulu, and then from there we can special the Laolao, which the opponent doesn't know we have in hand, so... Yeah, that one was definitely a bit of a longer, more of a back and forth game. Of course, we always... Excuse me. Of course, we always like to show those here on the channel, but yeah, no, so that game just goes to show that, like, Virtual World, while a lot of people kind of fear it for its explosiveness and the ability to, you know, seemingly pull a VFD plus Jiji setup kind of out of their ass at perpetually any moment, no, the deck definitely does have strengths when it comes to long-term games as well, as we saw here. So, all right, let's go and take a look at the next game. Okay, I think this might end up being the last duel for this video. This is going to be against Numerons, which always comes out in full force whenever it's time to get on the ranked ladder, right? That's not even necessarily true. I've also seen Numerons in Diamond 1. I don't really know why you would play Numerons when you're already at Diamond 1, but I have seen it happen, so... once again, we're going to lead with the Virtual World, Jesus, I keep saying that, the Adventurer line here. So, opponent's got a Maxx C. I think the Water Enchantress is a bit of a weird spot to respond to it, because technically, if I had, like, a better hand to do this with, I could have just stopped and not activated the right, and then just, my opponent would have been down one card with nothing to show for it, but here, I'll give them, the call by. I was going to say I'll give them a couple of draws to just get the Gryphon Rider out, if nothing else, but then I remembered, oh, I call by them, so that's what we will be giving them. However, with only the Xiezhi in hand, I currently don't have the means of actually setting up my Virtual World plays, so I'm going to have to pass here at this point. I'm going to add the Dracoback to hand and not equip it in case I need to discard it for something later, so... Oh yeah, here's where the opponent plays, you know, the Kaiju and the Eccentric, and I'm like, wait, what's going on here? And then it's like, oh wait, Numeron, got it, so... Fortunately for me, because my opponent summoned a Kaiju, I actually do get to Nibiru, because even though the Kaiju comes down on my board, my opponent still conducted the special summons. So, Kaiju summon was summon number 1, and then the 4 gates led to summons 2 through 5. So, okay, here I actually should have kept this Nibiru in attack mode. That was a very risky defense turn for no good reason, because Nibiru's only got 600 defense. It's so easy for, like, you know, something to happen, like my opponent to normal summon a really small monster and then, you know, battle and then more or less just pass, and then Wow, Jesus, I did it again. Oh my god, I lost track of my sentence mid-thought there. Ugh. Anyway. Yeah, so here we finally have plays as we're finally able to get stuff set up. We're going to bring back the Nyannyan, of course, and then use the Stardust Charge Warrior to not only draw a card, but also to act as the secret fodder, or like just extra deck fodder in general, if need be. But we drew a Lili, so things are already going to go pretty smoothly from here on out. As we know by this point, yeah, having a Lulu resolve is like more or less, you can just like exhale, you've probably already won the game by that point, so. Alright, here is the Dragon Mech. Now I'm going to pop the token, obviously, just to make sure that gets out of my way. Opponent's got the Imperm face down, which I'm fine with because I do have contingency plans for dealing with this token. The Vermilion Dragon Mech is definitely not the only way. In fact, it's probably one of the ones that I would be least likely to turn to, in a way. In any case, here we find ourselves with, I think this is, okay, this is a Xiezhi, I think is actually how you say it, but not super sure. In any case, we've got more than enough damage on board at this point. I think even factoring in, you know, Jesus. We have more than enough damage. That's the point I was trying to make. Oh my god. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and move to the outro now before I just completely lose it. Okay, everybody, I want to thank you very much for watching to the very end of the video like this, especially this video where I've just been kind of, like, out of it, to put it lightly. Yeah, again, just tend to record these videos when I can, which tends to be a little bit later, so sometimes, you know, lately I've been a little bit zonked as I'm recording them, but hopefully that's not, affecting the quality too much here. I very much appreciate those who are watching to the very end. That is an excellent way to support the channel, as are commenting and subscribing. Those also just mean a lot to me personally, especially the comments. I love hearing from you guys. I love your feedback, love your constructive criticism. You're always really good about it. So if you've got thoughts about the deck build or gameplay, if you see better lines, feel free to point them out in the comments. It is the best way for not just myself, but for all of us to help grow and learn, you know. Learning in general is best done in a community setting, in my opinion. Like, I've never thought of myself as like the sole instructor here, nor would I want to be, because I don't feel like I have necessarily all the knowledge to solely instruct on this is how to play every deck in Master Duel well. But again, that's just another reason why I love hearing from you guys. We can all kind of come together and help each other improve, because I've said it a million times and I'll say it a million more. You know, your guys' support, your guys' advice and critique is half the reason that I do as well as I do, you know, playing Master Duel. So, yeah, that's all I've got for this one. So without further ado, this is XLex. I'm signing off. I hope you guys have a fantastic day.